Homage got the vibe, got the vibe, got the vibe, got the
Can y'all see that? It's colder than cold out, man. But anyways, we're in the garage. Welcome back to yet another episode of the build series for the CB450. And in today's episode, we're going to figure out how to make a nice, beautiful cowl to end and finish and complement the beautiful CB200 tank that we're running on the 450 frame. Without further ado, roll the intro and let's get right into this new episode. Now that we know what this video is going to be about, right, we're shaping the cowl. How to get the shape of a cowl, that's a different type of debate. People have so many different methods, but the most commonly used method is florist foam. I made the CB750 cowl out of florist foam, as many of you may know. However, this time around, I wanted to change things up a bit. So this new compound that I ordered, let's take a look. Originally, I was going to use it for a different application. However, I changed path. And now I'm going to use this molding clay. I think it's Chevant. It's Chevant Auto Style Industrial Design Clay. Now, the neat thing about this design clay is that it is super malleable once you heat it up to a certain temperature. And it's very true to its shape. So once we sculpt it, I can lay fiberglass over it. I can use it as a scan. I can throw it around and it'll hold its shape. That's the whole point behind it. I have completely changed it up. We're going to try this clay out. I have never done it before, so we're going to take you through the whole process of being a first timer using this molding clay. I know a lot of guys use it for like body panels and whatnot, but we're going to use it for the cowl. I'm super excited to try something new. And with that, we're going to hit the time lapse. Cue the music.
Homage got the vibe, got the vibe, got the vibe, got the vibe.
Center part, put it as thin as possible because that's where the curve's gonna start, right? Like, don't
not as thin as possible, but yes, you're
in that specific area.
We
it
just
doesn't
have
need
to build
be
up
caked
here.
up. Yeah, like here back.
Yeah.
So like this.
Homage got the vibe, 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 got the vibe.
All right, everyone, I just want to hop on the camera real quick, personalize it, and give you a little background or like few starting tips that are based off the directions with this molding clay. So essentially, when I first ordered this stuff, like, of course, it's super hard, right? And when I first looked at it and I got it in the mail, I was like, damn, this stuff, I'm not quite sure. So the whole point of me kind of jumping on here real quick is to explain a little bit of the basics on how this clay works. So per the directions, you can heat up the clay to a certain threshold of temperature, of heat, and usually I think that's like 130 degrees plus or minus 10, 15, whatever. In that range, the whole idea is that once you warm the clay up to a certain temperature, it is super easy to conform in any way, shape, or form that you want to anything. Like, it's super easy to work with. The clay, you can see how it gets super soft here, see that? So I went ahead and I got this little like convection oven type of thing, and it's actually working out perfect. I'm using it just to thaw out the clay, and then what I'll do is I'll have a heat gun on deck, so when I'm using it in real time, I can keep heat and pressure so it still moves around exactly how I want and conforms in a certain way that I exactly want. With that being said, I thought that was a very important thing to add because, as you may know, like when you first order it, like clay is super hard. And the whole idea on why this stuff is so great for making body panels, for making full wide body kits or whatever it may be, what makes it so special is that when it heats up, you can play with it, maneuver it in any way possible, and then once it dries really hard, which is good because then it holds the shape. Therefore, you're not using the florist foam, which is super, like if you ding it with a finger or drop an object on it, it will ding, it will leave an imprint. Or the florist foam causes a ton of dust. It's one of the messiest jobs that you'll do besides using a cutoff wheel and grinder flaps on the angle grinder. With that, I think we're gonna jump on the tripod, we're gonna get right into it, and you're gonna kind of see the process unfold as we go, which is gonna be great, but I just wanted to jump on and give you a little abstract as to what I'm doing and how this stuff works. Jump on the tripod and cue back the music. All right, everyone, we're gonna sort of wrap up this video. We're gonna kind of talk about real quick things that I learned, things that I liked, things I didn't like, and essentially a little like in review, because I feel like this type of video requires a little summary, if you will, of how the application was, the process, and everything else in between. Now, traditionally, I've been trying to keep these videos very minimal talking, just speak when it's necessary, you know, give an update when an update is required, things like that. And when I learn something or find out something about the process that can help all of you, I put it on here and I say it. Otherwise, I've been trying to keep just like build progression as the main focus. And in this case, we're gonna take a step back from build progression and sort of go in review on how the clay molding turned out compared to the florist foam. Right off the bat, I will tell each and every one of you that working with the molding clay was way more fun, way less messy, and way easier than I expected, because when you receive the clay, or whatever you want to call it, it's super hard. So like when I first saw this, I'm like, holy cow, how can I like use this stuff? Whatever, did some research, watched some videos. There weren't too many videos out there, and essentially I just kind of went ahead and tried it. So what I did was I utilized this little convection oven to thaw out the brick of clay, and then I went ahead and used a simple heat gun, which I'm sure most of you have. If not, you could go pick one up for a decent price. And you need heat to essentially melt down a little bit of the clay to a certain temperature, or get it to a certain temperature. And once you get to that point, it's super malleable, easy to work with, easy to sculpt. And you can essentially just wear some gloves, and you use your thumbs and maybe like a Bondo scraper, and that's it. It's like something like this. And from there, it just starts to take shape. You build up, build up, build up, and then it takes shape. So if you're someone out there that builds cafe racers or even motorcycles or anything for that matter and requires custom fabrication or custom, like you want to essentially see the shape before the final form of creating the object, whatever it may be, use this clay, honestly. And this is not a paid advertisement, there's nothing. It's just straight up my review and my experience of using the clay for a cowl versus florist foam. And honestly, I'm not like fully done quite yet, to be honest, but essentially you get the shape, you get the idea. I'll tweak it a bit and dial it off camera a little bit, but for the most part, it's pretty much done. I figured out the shape that I wanted. The process of using the clay, in my opinion, solely my opinion, is much better because now you have, look, this is one night of curing. It's rock hard. Therefore, it's leaving a great compound and a very smooth finish if you create it for glassing over on top of it. Whereas the florist foam, you have to then bondo over the florist foam, then sand the bondo down, get the smooth body lines. But by sanding the bondo, which is even more messy of a process, let alone using the florist foam, and then after that, you then lay the fiberglass. With the clay, it honestly took way quicker. It was less of a hassle, no finagling, no issues. With the florist foam, you have to use like hot glue, and half the time it doesn't stick. So I know I'm kind of ranting, and I'm kind of complaining about one and not the other, but I'm just trying to share with you guys the experience I had with this clay, because at first I was very timid on the experience of how it was going to pan out, and it ended up turning into something incredibly fun and easy and something new, because now I know that I can use clay to make a fairing or make a belly pan or make a side little pan or whatever it may be, just to get the shape, the design. You can either then make it out of metal and mirror it, or you can scan it, throw it into CAD, print whatever you want to print. You get the idea. So long story short, working with the clay was quite the experience in a good way, and this is sort of what we're working with. So as you can see, I wanted to match a little bit of the tank. The tank is a very flat on the top and flat on the sides type of thing. So I wanted to bring in a little bit of shaping on the sides. So I flattened the sides, kept them a little round. Yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. It matches the tank pretty well, and we're gonna go from there. And if I don't like it, guess what? All I have to do is heat it up and then rework it. Alrighty, and that's about all I got to say about this whole episode, this video, the process, the experience. It was dandy, it was good, it was everything in between. Very few hang-ups, very few issues, and therefore I am going to leave a good positive review for this, for the future, and for all of you. So with that being said, we're going to end this episode. And as always, thanks for being dope, MZR fam, and we will catch you in the next episode.